today in Rich in Relationship. We're going to talk about
how to turn away from distractions and focus on what's really important in your relationship. Values are the foundation of connection and decision making. Intentional tech use will reduce distractions and keep you grounded. Welcome to another episode of Rich in Relationship. I'm your host, Rich Heller, and today, fighting distraction and rediscovering your values. This is part of a series that we've been doing on technology, particularly screens, and how to have a relationship with them that builds your relationship, a relationship with the screens that builds your relationship with yourself, and that builds your relationship with your partner. I have a question for you. Do you feel like distractions, screens, work, daily stress pull you away from what truly matters in your relationship? Have you and your partner ever stopped to rediscover your shared values, to make sure that you're on the same page in terms of what's important for you as individuals and as a family? In this episode, we'll try to explore how distractions erode connection to our values and how to use screens and even AI to uncover and align what truly matters. By rediscovering your values, you can create a relationship built on mutual understanding and shared purpose. Have you ever defined what's most important to you in your relationship? Values are the foundation of connection and decision making. Shared values provide clarity and alignment, while differences in prioritization often create tension or misunderstanding. What I'm saying to you is, it's possible for you to have shared values, but because maybe you prioritize them a little differently, it feels like you just don't agree. It feels like they just don't hear you. Maybe you feel like you're not understood. So in this episode, we're going to be working on stretching our concept of values, prioritization, and how to get on the same page. And what I'm wondering is, are screens and daily stress pulling you away from the meaningful conversations that might help you to get in touch with your core values and theirs? Most couples have overlapping values. In fact, most couples share almost exactly the same values. And pretty much any pair of human beings I've ever met prioritizes them differently. And they prioritize them just based on the fact that men and women have brains that are wired differently. The values will change. Men have a tendency to be like trains on tracks. They don't like to get off the track. And women tend to be more 10,000 feet up, flying, seeing the whole ecology. And because of that essential wiring, values are different. Women tend to value ecology, family ecology, emotional ecology far more than men. Men tend to value getting stuff done, not always thinking about family and ecology. That doesn't mean that men don't care about family or emotional ecology, and it doesn't mean that women don't care about getting things done, by the way. What it means is, because of the wiring of our brains, the priorities might show up differently. Now, we can use screens and tech to help us get back in touch with our values and to prioritize them. For example, there are value identification tools and surveys that are AI-driven that you can reflect on and compare your individual and shared values. So basically what I'm saying is, you can get on ChatGPT or something like that, ask for a value identification tool or for a survey, take them separately, look at the results, and see what values are showing up and what the order is. And what you'll start to see, I guarantee you, is that you're much more on the same page than you thought. The things that you're fighting about are not that you just don't share the same value. It's that you see it differently. He's a train on a track. You're a 10,000 foot up drone seeing the whole thing. And if you followed the last episode, using technology, using screens in a way that's mindful is going to help you to see each other's points of view more when these kinds of moments come up. Are your conflicts rooted in values or are they rooted in how you prioritize them? Understanding the difference will reduce the tension. Disagreements are 9 times out of 10 about prioritization. I'll share something personal. This is a really common battle. I hear a lot of husbands and wives having this battle, lowercase b. It's not a big fight. I believe that I live in a house that's too big now that my kids are grown up, and it's a lot of money and time to take care of it. And I want to downsize and pay less taxes and spend less time maintaining the place that I live and have a more manageable life experience. I'm like a train on a track in this. What I don't see, that my wife has helped me to see, is that even though our children are grown up, some of them still value having a room of their own, that a connection to their home that they grew up in, that they can go to. Some of them, particularly the ones who are not yet married with their own children, feel like they need to have an alternate nest. They're establishing themselves in the world, but they need to know that they can always come back to their room in their house. And my wife sees that. And I get it consciously, but emotionally, I don't. Right now, I value my children feeling connected to their family, and I value them feeling like they're supported, and I value them feeling like we're here for them. And so I have the same value. I also value not having as much actual building to take care of and lower expenses. My wife also values that. She wants to be more frugal. In her mind, though, the nest is more important than the frugality. In my mind, the frugality is more important than the nest. Now, I'm not going to change the prioritization of my values, and neither is she. The way that we bridge that gap is I have accepted that because of the way her mind is wired, she's got the 10,000-foot view on the emotional state of our family, and she gets this in a way that I don't. And because my job is protection, provision, and service, I'm a servant leader, I serve my family and lead by allowing her to have this. I have to phrase it that way because it's the only way I can feel like I'm not losing. I allow her to have this. Truthfully, she allows me to have a lot of things too for the same reason. In a partnership, people are going to lead in different areas. If I look at my overall priorities are self-care, partnership, children. She tells me that what my children need are a nest, and my job as protector means that value of hers, that thing she's identified, even though I don't completely get it, is going to supersede my need to be efficient. It's going to supersede my need to have a more manageable structure. It's going to supersede my need to save money now for the future. And so I honor that because I trust that her judgment in this area is better than mine. And because my value of family is higher than my value of frugality, of saving for the future, of efficiency, I lean into her because she gets the family better than I do. And that's how, if we have conflicting values, that's how those values can be reprioritized and we can surrender to the other person and lean into them. Now, in the meantime, if I come up with ways of making the house more energy efficient, that's my territory. If I come up with ways to make our vehicles less expensive, I totally get a blessing on that. What I'm not allowed to touch is this nest that the younger children still need to touch for the next 5 years, let's say. Now, if you're struggling with this, certainly you and your partner can come to Rich in Relationship for help, and we'll walk you through it. There's a free call opportunity on our website, richinrelationship.com. It's in the podcast notes. But before you do that, I would say develop a relationship with an AI, with chat or one of the other AIs, and lay in your priorities and lay in her priorities and have it help you identify your values and her values. And when you have a conflict like this, like I just described, let chat talk you through it and help it to identify what value of yours will allow you to let them lead in a particular area of life. I'll give you another example. My partner has a tendency to lean heavy things on things that aren't so structurally sound. Rather than saying, you shouldn't do that, it's going to break, what I say is, I want to go on the record here and say that if you continue to lean heavy things on this thing, it might break over time. You can keep doing it if you like, but I need to go on the record, like as someone who provides safety and structure in this house. And 9 times out of 10, that when I share it in that way, it will be acknowledged. Even if she doesn't agree with it, she'll acknowledge it because she gets that maintaining the structure is my territory. Do you find that screens are helping or hurting your focus on what matters most? Intentional tech use will reduce distractions and keep you grounded. Use screen time trackers or AI reminders to reduce unnecessary scrolling. So if you're going to give yourself time to distract yourself through social media, use an AI reminder like one of those AIs that you might have in your room that listens to everything you're saying to tell you when you're done with that. Use the technology to manage the way that you use the technology. Designate tech-free zones or times to focus on meaningful conversations. Watch shows or content that reflect shared values, as we talked about in the last episode, and take time to discuss their impact, as we identified in the last episode. If you want to create and build a value-driven relationship, you can first identify values in the way that we talked about. You definitely want to use AI to talk about the differences between male and female brains. By the way, the AI is a little hedgy with this because it's been programmed to not sound sexist, but we want to be really clear. Male science, like 40 years of brain science have shown that male brains and female brains are different and that men and women function differently and that they have different strengths as a result. And so ask the AI to include that in the assessment of why your values may be prioritized differently. And as you assess what your values are, I want you to also create habits that reinforce the values, the shared values you identify through that process. I want you to make sure that your values guide your actions consistently. Habits and traditions are what reinforce what's most important. So if you have a value that you're not going to commit infidelity, you probably don't want to engage in pornography because that is a hook that will take you right down that road. If you have a value that you don't want to spend money senselessly outside of the boundaries of your budget and your needs, then don't watch the Home Shopping Network or the Amazon Black Friday countdown. Are you acknowledging the progress that you've made together? Celebrate aligned strengths and connection, right? Don't just turn away from things that don't work, but focus on what is working. Plan small celebrations for milestones like achieving a shared goal or overcoming a challenge rooted in differing priorities. So just to conclude, we've given you a roadmap for limiting distractions and for re-evaluating and re-exploring your values, and also ways to allow yourself to lean into the expertise of your partner by tapping other values, right? We tend to focus on one or two values when we get into a difference of opinion. But when we hear and understand our partner's perspective and get that they know something about this that we don't, we can use in the example I gave you, my value of family, which is a super high value for me, to lean into and bow to the wisdom and knowledge of the partner there. And that doesn't mean that the value that we stood for is being squashed or that we lost. It means that it's being reprioritized. In the example I gave you of my wife, because I value family and she gets family in a way that I just can't. My train track male brain just doesn't grasp it as well as her brain does. I can take my value of efficiency and ease of maintenance and bring it down a notch, because family outweighs that for me. Use tools like AI surveys, shared schedules, mindful screen habits, and foster alignment. Reduce conflict around differing priorities by using these tools to work them through. If you're having a kick-ass fight, stop having the fight. Go do some individual AI work. See what each AI comes up with. Feed both results into one AI evaluative process and see if the AI can help you synthesize the two perspectives. It might flip some ideas that work for both of you. Because a lot of times when we get positioned, it's very hard for us to see new possibilities, but AI will recognize the pattern that one side is having. It'll recognize the pattern that the other side is having. And by the way, I've never tried this, but I'm going to. And then by putting those two perspectives in and asking it, hey, give us some hybridized models of these two perspectives, it might come up with something interesting. At the very least, what it'll do is it'll get you out of your triggered amygdala and into your prefrontal cortex, which you learned about in like episode 8 or something. 20 episode series, go through it, listen to the whole thing. This will change your life. I want you to identify one shared value and one small habit that you can build this week that will reinforce that value in your relationship. And always, for free tools that'll help you align your values and strengthen your relationship, visit our website, richinrelationship.com. Next episode, we're going to focus on enhancing connection, right? Not just getting our values aligned, not just how to resolve conflict creatively, but how to enhance connection. In the meantime, have a wonderful day and a fabulous tomorrow.